In just over 1 month, the annual Doctrine and Devotion Conference is happening. It'll be going down Friday and Saturday, September 18th and 19th, right here in the St. Charles, Illinois area. Stay tuned for more details. Welcome to Doctrine and Devotion. This is a podcast that, covers Christian faith and practice from a Reformed Baptist perspective. My name is Joe Thorn. I am the lead pastor of Redeemer Fellowship in St. Charles, Illinois.
And I'm Jimmy Fowler, executive pastor at Redeemer Fellowship.
Jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu? Yeah.
So my wife, she's taking kickboxing at the UFC
Man,
gym.
she is getting ready to fight you.
And she's now enrolled in jiu-jitsu.
She's ready to beat you up, bro.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Kickboxing I'm not afraid of the kickboxing thing as
Really?
much. No.
How? Why?
Because you get in close and you take it to the ground. But on the ground,
on
she
the
knows
ground,
any jiu-jitsu. I'm dead. I'm so dead. If she learns one move, I'm dead. Which means I'm dead.
Yeah, you're dead. You're done. It was nice knowing you. I don't know what you did to,
I think I inspired her to become her best self. That's what it was.
Is that what you inspired
and she was
her?
Like, yeah, I inspired her. You got to go out there and become the woman you want to be, the woman God's called you to be. And now she's doing this stuff.
So here's the thing: is I know, and I don't say this, I know you've never hurt your wife. So there's no fear there.
No.
But I do know you annoy your wife.
Yes,
and so I'm wondering that you hit a new level of annoyance that she's like, I got to take care of this guy.
Yeah, well, we have gotten physical before.
And well, you do have 4 kids.
Yeah, I don't mean physical like that. I mean we wrestle. We'll wrestle, I
feel like this is a little bit of a private conversation.
No, we'll wrestle. And so in the past, we haven't wrestled recently. We used to wrestle playing around, and she's got.
And you were on the bottom.
She's got nope. I get on top. I'm holding her, and then she tries to roll her.
Then she reverses it.
She
half Nelson.
She can't because I'm so much heavier than she is.
You are.
She
yes,
doesn't weigh anything.
She is.
She's got this wiry strength, so I can't.
She's got a say it again.
Wiry strength because she's real thin, but it's lots of strength, and I can't move her arms. She'll lock them up, and I can't move them, but I can pin her down. And my move. Here's my move. My move used to be, I would hold her wrists, and then I would try to swing my foot without a shoe or sock on it up to her face.
What is wrong with you?
My foot on her face. Oh, because it's horrible.
No, that is horrible. That is disgusting.
Yeah, but then
no, don't do that. That's demeaning.
It doesn't work.
Demeaning.
I would try. It's not demeaning.
Yes, it is. That is demeaning.
It's exalting. It's exalting.
No, it is not.
I am super exalted. No, but
that is demeaning. Do not do that. That is gross and disgusting.
I definitely.
You don't sit there and take your foot.
Yeah, when you're wrestling, sure.
Not when you're wrestling your wife. You don't put your foot and put it on your wife's face.
Well, here's the thing. Every time I've tried to do that, she grabs my foot and I start screaming. I can't handle it.
Wait. Yeah. She grabs your foot?
She will grab that foot.
Tickle you?
Yeah. And
hold on, let me get this straight.
I can't.
You get tickled and you can't handle it.
No, I scream like Homer Simpson.
Do you know?
Yeah, I do.
All right. Okay.
Bad news. Yeah, man. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm not going to wrestle anymore now that she's doing the jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
She'll just hold me down.
So maybe I guess that's why that she took it. She's like, this guy annoyed me so much.
Trying to put his feet on my face.
Exactly. Trying to demean me, make me feel lesser.
No, I wasn't trying to make her feel lesser. I was trying to make her feel,
submissive.
Worthy.
I don't
do that to just any woman because they're not worthy. But my wife.
Your wife is worthy of your foot on her face?
You know how mad she would be if she caught me wrestling some other woman, putting my feet on her face?
First of all, she'll just be mad that you're wrestling another woman. It had nothing to do with the feet on the face. It's not like she'd be like, oh yeah, go ahead and wrestle, Joey. Yeah. But that foot better not be on that girl's face.
It all goes together.
No.
It always goes together. Yeah. There's no point in wrestling if you're not trying to put your foot on their face. Some people pin. They go for the 3-point pin. And wrestle. I go foot on the face. That's what's more of a victory? Putting my nasty toenail.
So there you go. Yeah. You now admitted your feet are nasty. Why would you put your nasty feet on your wife?
Victory. Winning.
That is just so messed up.
Yeah,
man.
Well,
it's
a tough world.
My wife has never slapped me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting punched.
Because you have Bigfoot.
No, I am getting punched. Because it's so demeaning.
Because of your gross feet.
No, your feet as well. It's demeaning.
My feet are smooth.
No woman is sitting there going, put your foot on my face.
Yeah, mine are smooth and soft like a seal. You know?
Goodness, I don't.
All right, nobody cares about that.
No one cares because it's really gross. You know what we should talk about?
Yeah,
is how you could not.
How the coronavirus.
Yeah, but hold on. Before we get to that, you know what? We talked on Monday.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So Joey, we hung out yesterday. We had an opportunity. I got off work early, so I text Joe. I'm like, hey man, or I texted before I was going to get off. I was like, hey, you know. Let's hang out because I'm going to be able to leave early. I'd love to be able to go smoke a cigar with you. No other agenda, which of course Joe automatically thinks there's some other agenda. I knew there
was. It's just funny to tease you about it. So yeah, we go there and it's nice and quiet. TV's not on.
Well, so I got there earlier and I went to Harold, the guy that's working there. And I
didn't know this.
And I go, Harold, where is the remote for the TV? He goes, I got it right back here. I'm like, all right. Now it's either A, you're going to give it to me, or B, anyone asks for it, you're not going to give it to them because it's nice and quiet. I want to relax. I don't want the TV blaring.
We don't need some Netflix Marvel show.
Whatever.
Blaring.
I'm like, just either hide it or give it to me and I'll deal with the people. He's like, oh man, don't worry. I got you. No one's going to get it.
Perfect.
Nice and quiet.
Oh, so it's finally quiet in there. And there's two gentlemen sitting in this circle of recliner style chairs.
Enjoying each other's company.
Yep. Jimmy and I are sitting there.
Enjoying each other's company.
Yep. Just good masculine fellowship, right? And then homeboy walks in. Yeah, I don't know, he's in his 30s. He walks in and he gets a cigar and he sits down right next to me.
Yeah.
And he pulls up his phone and starts watching videos.
Full blast.
I mean, loud, super loud. And it was like cartoon, you know those cartoons that kids watch today and there's lots of screaming?
No. This was Family Guy.
Oh, yeah, it was okay. It was loud.
It was loud.
And then he went to TikTok.
And then Sports Center, yeah.
Oh my goodness. And so I keep looking at him thinking he might look at me and that would need to be said. Right.
And so Joe's like, I'm going to say something. I'm like, no.
What I said was, I said,
oh, you're going to say the full thing?
I said, I want to say something. But then I said, you know what? God calls us. Sometimes we have to be what God calls us to be and not what we want to be. That's what I said to you.
That's what you said.
It's indicating I'm not going to say a thing.
Yeah, nothing. I am going to suffer well.
Even though this guy is being inconsiderate of everybody else around him, blasting his phone.
Yep. And then 15 seconds later,
I was like, hey, man. I look over at the guy. I'm like, hey, man. And he doesn't acknowledge me. So I bang on the table. I'm like, hey, man.
On the table.
And I'm smiling when I'm asking him. I'm like, hey, man.
Yeah.
And he looks over. And I said, hey, would you mind turning that down a little bit?
Just a little bit.
Yeah. And what'd he say?
I'm trying to watch my show here.
His first response was, why? Yeah. And I was like, well, it's a little loud, you know? And then he's like, well, you guys are talking and I'm watching shows. And I was like, well, I'm just asking, you know, it's just a little loud. And so I was like, don't those things come with headphones?
Oh, hold on. Here's what he said. Hold on, though. He goes, well, I don't know. I have an iPhone 11, and so the headphones don't work with it because they change it all the time. Yeah. That was his defensive answer, which was beautiful. Yeah. And what'd you say, Joe?
I was like, oh, that's weird because when I buy an iPhone, it comes with headphones. It comes with the earbuds right in there. So that's kind of weird, right? It's kind of weird. Yeah.
So then, no, he did not turn it down.
No, but he did stop playing it as much.
Yeah, he did stop
a break, but I felt so much better after I asked him to turn it down, even if he never turned it down at all.
Yeah, Joe just had to get it off his chest.
Asking and pointing out, hey, you know what, man? It's kind of loud.
But it was really like...
I didn't say turn it off.
No. And it was, I don't know. I did not think it was out of bounds to ask that question. No. That's a very fair question to ask. Yeah. I was shocked at that response, to be honest. Yeah. Like, I was not expecting
that's when it gets funny now. Because to me, like, when he responds like that, like now...
Because if someone had said that to me, first of all... I would never do it. Never. If I'm somewhere, even like I went to Levita earlier with you, I made sure to put my headphones in because I was like, I want to listen to this other podcast and I'm just going to relax, listen to the podcast and play like Candy Crush.
And it sounds better anyways with the earbuds.
Because you can turn it up. Yeah. Right. But I would never go into a place and never travel. I would never sit there and have where other people are having to listen to whatever I'm enjoying. So it was shocking to me that even happened. But if I did for some odd reason and someone's like, hey, can you turn down a little bit? I'd be mortified.
Oh yeah, I would turn it off. I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Maybe I wouldn't sit in like a circle of men having a conversation and like just turn it up. Maybe go sit in the corner or something. I don't know, man. It was weird. You know.
So Joe was able to get his he was able to get his beef on.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah.
You know,
you were happy.
I'm a conversationalist, you know? I just like talking to people.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's what they call pre-evangelism right there.
So, Joe, you alluded to it earlier where you're talking about, is Corona killing your church?
People, do you remember?
Oh, do I remember?
Do you remember when the whole Corona thing started and churches were shut down? And there was this general consensus by a lot of really smart people like, hey, you know what? When this is over, there's going to be a big return of people to church. More people are going to be coming to church after this than we're going before this. And it's all guesswork, but I thought there was a lot of merit
optimistic
to that.
thinking,
And then George Floyd's murder and the continuing divisions and the ratcheting up of the hostility between different people groups and political perspectives. And so now most people that I know are saying like, yeah, after all this, church is probably going to be smaller.
Oh, I think so.
I think so.
I think people are I think people are just on the fringe are going to be falling.
Yeah, I think
falling away.
I think that's something that we've, everybody should see that. We talked about that as elders, after a few months into this, we all sort of agreed that, churches are going to be feeling different after this. Some of that for the better, some of it maybe for the worse, but not being able to go to church for a long period of time means that people that were thinking about leaving, or maybe were on the bubble and weren't really committed, or maybe people that were just thinking of transitioning out because of various reasons. It's a good opportunity.
Yeah. So let's talk first about division, right? The division within the church.
That can kill the church.
That could kill a church.
A church, not the church.
Yeah. But that can kill a church right there, right? Is you've got people with different ideologies and different opinions, and unfortunately, number of them are pretty vocal on both sides, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's very much just that division within, and we see that even within our church, right?
Yeah.
Some people are vocal about it. I've seen anti-mask, the whole anti thing, anti-corona, like this is just
I think we're all anti-corona, Jimmy.
No, but I'm talking about, there you go. Yeah. Anti-believing that it's real or that's a threat, or anti somehow this is a government conspiracy, or it's a big social experiment to see how far they could push people into, being subservient to the government.
Or even on the softer end, people just saying like the mask thing doesn't work. It's not, we don't believe it's anything.
Yeah. So I see that more within our church rather than the other end of the spectrum.
But we see that end too.
I don't see it as much at our church.
No, but we do have that represented in our church.
Oh, we have it represented, but I don't see the vocal, the divisiveness of it, right? Where others probably see a bit more of either one, right?
And I would say even in our church, though, that, we have people like I can think of a person I can think of a couple people, they're not down with the mask thing, and they don't want to wear the mask thing, but when they come to church, they come, no complaint, wear the mask. For first service if they're coming or whatever. And super chill, not divisive, not angry about it.
Yeah. So, but I think for some churches, they're seeing that divisiveness, or at least maybe not. Maybe that's unfair of me to say that because I don't go to those churches. Maybe I'm seeing it more on social media and just making assumptions on that.
Maybe. But I do think that the divisions are being highlighted. And people are increasingly choosing sides in the world, which will, or at least can have an impact on how we relate to each other inside the church. Now, sometimes that, like when it comes to racism and prejudice, right? You can't faithfully follow Jesus and be a racist, right? You can be a believer and harbor racism. That obviously happens, but you're not faithfully following Christ in that, like you are sinning in that. And a church should not tolerate racism in its congregation. It should address the congregational sins. So that's fine. But when it comes to strategizing on how to deal with problems in the world through, political operations and mechanisms, that's not necessarily a sin issue. That might be just a strategy issue. But these divisions are being so highlighted in the world that I do think that it's fair to say that if division can kill a local church, and we've all seen it happen, we are ripe to see some churches fall because of the increasing division. And I'm not just talking about like the the really big things that are super popular or the super vocal, angry people. I just mean some people will be so internally put off because the church isn't where they are on some of these issues that they will just want to go in a different direction. And that's, they have the right to do that, of course. But I've always believed that the church is supposed to be, that the local church is supposed to be a gathering of believers who are all very different in their background and perspective, in their world, their experiences, so that like among Jesus' disciples, you can have a zealot and a tax collector following Jesus together in unity. You can, and we've always been able to have Democrats and Republicans and third party people work together for the mission of the church without there being a beef. But I am concerned that, as we move throughout 2020, that could become a greater challenge for some of our churches than it was before.
Yeah.
I think another thing that can wind up killing the church, or at least, bringing some harm to it, is the general sense of discouragement that leadership can feel during this time. And members as well, of course. Discouragement because we can't do the things that we've always done, or the things that we're called to do even, right? I know some churches are doing their thing. Like we're actually meeting. We've been meeting for 8 weeks now?
6. I thought it was, no, 6, 7 weeks. 6 weeks.
I thought you,
yeah.
All right.
I waited till after a certain time period to go get the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, you're wrong, but continue.
Okay. I want to be proven that I'm wrong. So
I'm not going to need to prove it.
July. No, but it'll make me feel better. All right. So we
have not met for 8 weeks.
Yeah. This will be the 8th coming up on Sunday, tomorrow.
7th.
No. Okay. So if Jimmy has to issue an apology,
why am I going to apologize?
Because if you're wrong, you're going to apologize. Sure.
Anyways,
tell everybody I'm wrong. Probably right. So yeah, we've been at it for getting close now to 2 months, and we've got one service that's really locked down and one service that's more open, and by the grace of God, everybody's okay right now.
Yeah.
We're distancing, we're taking lots of cleaning and all that stuff. We have great teams and great servants, but I think that the discouragement that comes with all of this stuff is enough to have an impact on leadership, or especially a church where it's like a pastor by himself. He's got one pastor and nobody.
But you know what? I didn't even consider that. Yeah, that's how selfish I am. I didn't even, no, for real. I never even considered that lone staff pastor, that lone pastor.
No elders,
or maybe one other elder, or like no deacons, like trying to navigate this alone. I didn't even consider that. That's hard, man. Pray for those pastors. Pray for these small church pastors that are on their own in the midst of this. Because here's the thing. It's like, no matter what we do, we're wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's either that's the position that we're in.
Yeah.
And
even at Redeemer,
that's what I'm talking about. Like, it doesn't matter what we do, we're wrong. We're not going to satisfy this side. We're not going to satisfy that side. So both sides aren't really happy with it. Right. And, even the people that you would think understand the notion of mitigating your risk, they're against you. And you have to sit there and go, come on, what is this? What is this? Like, if we were counseling or dealing with anything else and advising, we would be advising precaution in the midst of this. And so it's like trying to, as pastors, work through the best way of how do we shepherd our people, be faithful to be faithful to Scripture, yet at the same time, not under quite fully grasping what's going on. How do we then take care of this and take care of our people in the midst of this? And then it's like, oh no, you've just succumbed to it. It's like, all right, you know what? You can't win.
You're worshiping, so you obviously don't care about people getting sick, or you're worshiping, but you have masks, so you're
just giving into the government narrative.
And here's the thing. Most churches that I know, in fact, all the churches that I'm familiar with, all of their decisions are being made in light of bearing the responsibility of caring for people.
Yeah.
And so, if it was just me and my family, then we would have to take care of ourselves, and it would be a rather simple decision. This is what we're going to do, and I'm only responsible for that little group. But as a church, like, we're responsible for all of these people gathering together in various forms at different times, and so we have to make sure that we are doing what we can to protect them and not put them needlessly in danger. So yeah, we've got to figure out what's the best way to do that. We've after much prayer and strategy and talking and listening and reading, we decided on a particular course of action that our conscience is clear with, that we think squares with the Word of God. And yeah, and most churches are trying to do that. Even if we disagree with what they're doing or not doing,
they're trying to do it, and they're prayerfully, feel like they're praying about it, right? Like, and that's just it. And so it's not like we're just throwing out strategies. It's not like we're just going, by the seat of our pants, right? Yeah. And so that's where we need to be giving these leadership at your local church a bit more grace here. Yeah. Like, and pray for them, because this is not easy. It's not as easy as I think people want it. That think that it should be. Right.
No, it's brutally difficult and it's heart wrenching. And here's another thing. I'm going to call this an aside.
No, this is JoJo Unchained.
This is like a parenthetical sort of idea here, because I've almost like a few times gone live with this on the Instagram. All right, so Mark Dever and Capitol Hill Baptist Church, they're encouraging, keep your distance, wear the masks, don't gather for worship, whatever you got to do. They're pushing for safety, and people just want to hate on Dever. First of all, Dever's a genius, so maybe just do some listening there. Even if you disagree with him, maybe show some respect. But anyways, so people are just blasting him as not taking the means of grace seriously and not being a pastor or whatever. They're just blasting him. And then you got John MacArthur.
Yeah.
John MacArthur gathering thousands of
people together.
John
Wayne MacArthur.
John Wayne was kind of cool. Anyways.
MacArthur's cool. What?
In what world does anybody think? You know who's really cool?
Oh, I'm not talking
John MacArthur.
But I am saying the man is committed to his principles, and yeah.
So you know what? So was Hitler.
Oh, you're really gonna and that's the divisive nature of conversation on social media right now. Is just
go straight to Hitler.
Go straight to
Hitler.
You
don't like that person?
Hitler, right?
And know who else was a human being? Hitler.
But seriously though, MacArthur
consistent.
He's consistent. Yeah. He is consistent, and what people agree and disagree with him, we can all agree the man has been a faithful steward and has provided a lot of resources that has been good for the church.
Great preacher.
Yes.
Yeah. Got some bad theology in there, but whatever. So, but my point so he is doing the opposite. His church is gathering together in California,
which is an opposite of what he said he was doing a month and a half ago, but continue.
So he has everybody together and no masks and preaching, full crowd sort of a situation. And there's a whole group of people hating on him.
Yeah.
So you got these two guys both trying to take care of their churches. And you know what? It's none of my business what they do in this decision-making with their church. Now, it's fair game to talk about. It's totally appropriate for us to learn from and reject what certain congregations are doing. But man, can we just focus on our own churches for a bit?
Well, not just that, but then even in the midst of the conversation, can't it be civil? There's some things out there people are saying about MacArthur or Dever that I think is completely wrong. And I think it's slanderous. It's absolutely wrong.
If it's not slanderous, it's certainly oftentimes unchristian, unkind, right? It is, oftentimes it is as well slanderous. So right now with everything that's going on, everybody's stressed out and hurting and discouraged. Maybe show a little grace and compassion to each other. Everybody's confused. Nobody really knows what's going on. I'm always getting stuff sent to me like here's what's happening and here's the new most current facts, but they change every week. It's like we don't know. We're trying to figure it out. So but let's be kind. Let's focus on our churches where we bear the responsibility. That's what I'm thinking.
But I think we can agree things went a little overboard on it. Like I'm at least going to say that.
Overboard on what?
Just
Oh, you mean the laws?
Just a shutdown and everything.
Of course.
Just everything went over. All right, we can at least agree on that, right?
I'm not afraid to share my opinion on anything. I will always share my opinion. But when we're dealing with each other and with these opinions, we need to be, kind to one another and try to understand where each person is coming from. Because it's like, Listen, the government, I think, is overreaching and in some ways.
No, but come on now. Trump has total authority. Come on now. He can go ahead and push back the election. Sure. He could delay.
Well, he just said he's going to delete TikTok. He could just do that.
He's got total authority.
So all I'm saying is like, I have strong opinions about everything. Jimmy has strong opinions about everything. But we also know that some of our convictions based on Scripture are the ones that we're going to die for. And then some other ones are a little bit lesser. And then even the ones below that just don't really matter at all. Like we can even laugh about those, but be kind to each other. All right. So we're talking about how Corona can kill the church. Mm-hmm. We've talked about the fall off, right? People are just going to naturally
some people are just away. They're already on the edge.
Yeah.
And
it's good time.
It is good. It is perfect timing.
Don't lose hope. Because of that would have happened anyways. Eventually, they're just taking this opportunity. The unnecessary division that comes from picking teams against with whom we're going to fight the other team. There's the discouragement that comes from it. What else is a thing that poses a threat to our churches?
Yeah, I mean, just people don't like talking about, but finances. Mm-hmm. I mean that does affect.
Sure.
Unless you've got a maybe not robust, but unless you've already got the mechanism in place, and some people are going to online giving, without, you miss the passing of the plate.
And even if you do have the online giving, offerings are going to be down for a lot of churches.
Well, and because there's a lot of families that are affected with this shutdown, and individuals that are forced to not work.
Yeah.
And I have a whole thing on discouragement as an individual with the whole essential, non-essential label.
Mm-hmm.
I just struggle with that so much. What do you say to somebody like that? How are you saying that? Like you've already, that's got to be like that's got to mess with you. Like I've made my life decisions and now I'm deemed non-essential to society.
Yeah. And I think, for me, like, I look at that whole thing and go, well, that's an emotional reaction. That's not a thoughtful reaction to the problem. But that doesn't mean it's an illegitimate reaction, and it doesn't mean that we don't have to walk people through that. Because when they say essential, non-essential, they're not saying it in an absolute sense. They're saying for services and goods to be running so that we don't run out of food and electricity. It's a relative term that they're using. But you're right. That has a huge impact on people in terms of how they feel. And, what is not maybe essential to keeping a city running, your job is even more essential to keeping your family alive.
Exactly.
And so it's like,
now these
level,
and then here we have individuals that are unable to work or have been unable to work, and they're taking a financial hit,
losing their jobs. Some of them,
people being furloughed,
stores being shut down for good,
restaurants. I mean, they're talking. I you know what? I don't want to throw the number out there. Never mind. I'll throw it out there.
You were wrong about other stuff.
No. But they're talking about like 30% of restaurants gone.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's just the financial component is serious. And so, every church can lose out here because the larger churches have much more overhead because they build these huge buildings and they've got much more staff. And so they have a hard time meeting their budget. Smaller churches with only maybe one staff person or two staff people, well, they have less money coming in as well, even though they have maybe smaller overhead and less staff, but they have a smaller budget. So the implications are oftentimes the same. People can lose their jobs, have lost their jobs, and in the church, this can be, listen, some churches do fold entirely because there simply is no way to support the ministry. And if there's no way to support the ministry, churches close. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
So that could be a thing. There's one other thing. And before we talk about it, what I think is something that can kill the church, and I think it is potentially a real problem for a lot of churches. I just want to remind everybody that the 2020 Doctrine and Devotion Conference on Covenant Theology is going down on Friday and Saturday. That's September 18th and 19th. In Geneva, Illinois is actually where it's going to happen. You can get all of the details at our website, doctrineanddevotion.com/conference. But this 2-day conference is all on covenant theology, and it's going to be led by Dr. Sam Renihan.
Sam the Man Renihan.
Yeah, we're going to be encouraging you guys to get his book. And now this is a great conference because this is the kind of conference where you're going to have great fellowship. You're going to have great teaching, but it's the kind of teaching that will if you're already a covenant theologian, it's going to sharpen you. It's going to bring you further or deeper into it. But if you're new to covenant theology and you're not even sure, you'll be able to walk right into it, right? We'll start wading in, and by the end, you'll be swimming, man. Breaststroke. It's going to be awesome. Mm-hmm. So you can just head on over to doctrineanddevotion.com/conference to get all the details and to register.
All right, one last one, Joe.
All right, so I think one of the ways in which Corona can speed along the demise of our churches is through the wrong focus, we'll say. People, leaders in particular. Some leaders have begun to shift their focus towards certain, perhaps very important, but in the grand scheme of things, somewhat secondary issues. And so when your church and your people have grown accustomed to a gospel focus, a focus on proclaiming the word of God, the whole counsel of God, expository preaching, if that's what you have been doing in making disciples, if you suddenly begin to shift and now your focus is more on, say, social justice, pro or con, that shift in focus is likely to bring a significant disruption to the unity of your church.
Yeah.
Because now the focus isn't Christ, but it's this secondary, though important issue, and enforcing people to pick a side on that particular issue in particular ways, it leaves them very little room for common ground in Christ because Christ has been essentially pushed to the side. Whereas if our focus remains Jesus, if it remains the scripture, then we're pushing that forward. Everybody gets on that same level. And now from there, we can begin to look at, examine, and interact with these ideas. So for me, it is you push the word of God and establish the truth and the doctrines that are there for everybody to see, understand, and rest upon. And then from that position, we're able to now engage in these secondary issues that are important. But the focus of many churches I've seen it shift. And I've even had people send me like, hey, my church is starting to send out these letters, or they're doing this series now. And again, topical series are great. We do them too. But how you go about it and what remains the driving force, the emphasis, the focus, what's the mission of the church, that needs to be, especially now, I think that needs to be repeated. It needs to be emphasized. It needs to be revisited because I think we're all somewhat distracted. I mean, I'm distracted. There's a lot going on. And it's easy to sort of take our eyes off of the one on whom we're supposed to fix them. I think that in my case, as a pastor, it's easy for me to get overly frustrated by all of the distraction that I see out there, but then that becomes my distraction and I become overly fixated on it. What about you? What do you think? Do you see a drift in focus among some church leaders that could bring harm to the church?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you see it because, I mean, a lot of people are kind of going with where the culture is going or where society is going. And they sit there and think because it's a big conversation here, it must be a bigger conversation here. Yeah. And I think there's a sense I agree with that, right? Like as a church, we should be leading the way on things. But our focus should always be the gospel. Our focus should always be making disciples as disciples. And that's really, I think, what we should be about, right?
Yeah. Don't lose the opportunity to be the agent of God to bring about real transformation that does address those sins, those abuses, those evils, those acts of lunacy. Man, there are crazy people on every side of these debates and these crises.
Yeah.
Craziness on both sides. The gospel should raise us up and the truth of God should raise us up to not just be the voice of sanity, but the voice of prophecy in that reform sense.
Ooh. Well, we'd love to hear your thoughts. You could follow us online on Instagram and Twitter at Doc and Devo or on Facebook /Doctrine and Devotion. You can head to the website, drdevotion.com. There you can contact us. You can sign up for the email blast, hit up the store, jofostore.com, and grab some gear. Fresh product every Monday and Thursday, blog post on Wednesdays. Later.